Hello, welcome to the podcast, or welcome back to the podcast if you are a weekly listener. This feels like the first time in so long that I'm able to sit down and record an episode because I have had guests come on the last few weeks, and then prior to that, my episodes were kind of quite scheduled. So this is like the first time I'm sitting down in a while, and it's so exciting. We love it so much. I've missed it so much. But I hope you've all been doing so well. I am myself doing so well. I've been a couple of months into uni now, which is super cool. I'm loving it so much. I actually want to do a little bit of an update about like how it's been, like what it's been bringing up for me and just how it's sort of feeling for me. I feel like it's super cool to just like open that conversation so that if you too feel that way, you're not like feeling alone in that. But basically today's episode, we're going to be talking about mindset and how your mindset literally makes or breaks your life. So I know you've probably got this, like you've probably heard this before, but the way I'm going to be speaking into it is very much relating to your menstrual cycle, because when we have like when our mindset is not optimal and we are shaming ourselves about our menstrual cycle, then of course that's going to manifest physically into our body in a way that we probably don't want it to. And vice versa, when we're really feeling empowered in our menstrual cycle, understanding what's going on, of course, some of those physical ailments that come up sometimes, like when you've got pain symptoms, things like that, they can begin to actually shift because it's your mindset that shifts. So firstly, we're going to start with our oracle card of the week. So today we got Dust Devil, and it says moving out of stagnation. And so the timing of me recording this episode is actually right on eclipse. Like we're right in the middle of the eclipse season. So we've got the lunar eclipse in 2 days or 3 days. So, but we're moving out of stagnation. I'm definitely feeling like it's been quite a time, almost energetically, of just change, transformation. I kept on seeing, personally, like I just kept on seeing like a lot of butterflies surrounding me, and then like I would see a caterpillar, and I'm just like, okay, it's a time of transformation. And now I'm moving from that, like knowing that there's transformation coming, knowing that there's change coming, moving from that into the actual like what's to come, right? So I'm going to read the card. It is number 15. So that's number 6, if that means anything to you. Oh, I just found I have put some money into my oracle card book. But anyway, go off, Queen. So Dust Devil says, embrace the chaos, trust in the process, moving out of stagnation. The presence of the Dust Devil causes a ruckus. Some people are afraid of his chaotic nature, believing that he comes to intentionally stir things up. The truth is, you can't expect this dream ally to behave, to bring niceness, to be clean. His power is in the mess he creates as he calls for you to engage in the full cyclone of life. This really feels like it's like relating as well to just what eclipse season can be like. People fear eclipses. They're like, no, it's like such a shit time. But really all it does is bring up what you need to shift. And if you have resistance there, of course, it's not going to feel good. So it kind of feels like this vibe as well. He represents two aspects to you now: the winds in your outer life appearing to throw you off course, where you assume the world is coming at or coming to you, and the winds that churn inside you, with the dust devil arising from your dreamscape to help you escape your invisible chains shackling you to a barren desert. Stop asking for things to be perfect. Awkward, messy, conflicted, exuberant, and wild are how you shift. Trust this process. The dust devil knows what you need when you need it. Once things settle, you will see the gleaming jewels awaiting your discovery and the wisdom awaiting integration. Wow, that is super cool. Love that card. And I love the part where it said wisdom awaiting integration, because sometimes we can feel like we've got all these things going on. Sometimes we can just feel like there's, all these things going on. There's so much to grasp at. You just feel quite unsettled. And I know I've been like this a little bit recently. But yeah, you kind of can just bring it into like, oh my gosh, what wisdom am I going to take from this? And what wisdom can I integrate from this? Super cool message there. So first, I want to get into a little bit of a life update before we dive into the mindset piece of this episode. It's going to be short. It's going to be quick. You can skip past it if you don't give a shit, but that's fine. Basically, a couple of months ago, I took up studying my bachelor in health science for oh my gosh, okay, for naturopathy. And honestly, it has been such a eye-opening experience already. I know I'm only like 2 months in, just over 2 months into my degree, but I'm not speaking into this from a sense of like what I'm learning. I'm speaking into this from a sense of what I've learned about myself, so much more than I thought I would by studying. And for those of you that aren't aware, I did study Bowen therapy a couple of years back, and that course went for like 2.5 years or something like that. And then through that time since then to now, I've done short courses. So I've done my breathwork and cacao facilitation. I've done access consciousness. I've done shamanic rites. I've done my Reiki masters, things like that, but they're not super in depth. Like, it's not full-time study the same as like this or Bowen kind of was. Anyway, since beginning, I've just been noticing in myself how many things, like limiting beliefs I'm holding around myself, that were unconsciously playing out in my life. And now that they're coming to my consciousness through my studies, I'm like, whoa, that's why this is like not working out in this way, or that's why XYZ, whatever it might be. So it's been really interesting to witness how uni has been showing me some limiting beliefs that I'm still holding. And of course, we all hold limiting beliefs. Like, I mean, it's literally like a human thing. So I haven't been like judging myself about that, but it's just been more of a cool experience of like, oh my God, I get to go even deeper with myself. I get to understand myself even more, which is super cool. And as well as that, all of the content that I'm learning is so freaking cool, and I love it so much. But there's just been this part where I'm like, I'm actually smarter than I thought I was. And I know that might sound like maybe silly to some of you, but I genuinely didn't take up this course years ago because I didn't feel worthy. Then joining it a few months ago, I felt worthy of joining it. But equally, I didn't realize that like I know my shit. And I know that might sound really ridiculous, but it's just been really cool to see like, oh my gosh, I actually know a lot more than I sort of play out to know. And that's just been interesting to witness in myself, and also see where I'm allowing that to sort of flow into other areas of my life where I'm playing myself down rather than actually just being seen in what I do truly know. So that's been really two really cool lessons I've taken from studying uni, as well as it's actually been so many people when I went into studying full-time at uni, running my own business, just living my life. So many people had this doubt about them, like whether it was whether it was an unconscious projection at me, or whether they actually said the thing of like, are you going to be able to do that? So many people did that. And it was really interesting because I knew I could do it. And I know I'm only 2 months in. I'm not fucking speaking for like my whole degree here, but I just mean 2 months in, and I feel fucking good. I don't feel like I've lost any time. I feel like I'm still able to do like everything I want to do. It's just comes back to, like I spoke to in an episode a couple of weeks ago, it literally just comes back to like the structure that I've placed in my life, and like the routine that I've placed in my life to be able to hold what I'm actually doing, so that I do have like still the space. Like every single day I'm still spending like at least an hour doing something for myself, whether it's like laying out in the sun, reading a book, having a bath. Of course, having a bath, that's like my favorite thing ever. I'm still taking time to like be with me, journaling all the time. I don't know, I just feel like it's such a like that's a limiting belief of like society, I guess, that like you can't do it all, or you can't have it all. But it's just been really cool to just be living in the moment and just be like, oh my gosh, I'm actually genuinely like making this work, and I don't feel stressed. Like I actually don't feel stressed, which is super cool. Okay, enough about me, enough about my little update there. I just wanted to share that because I just think so many people study as well. And like, if you are someone who's like, how the fuck do I make this like not feel stressful? Like, honestly, I just wanted to share like it is possible. Like, just make sure you are taking those increments of time for yourself. Of course, things shift, things change. It's not going to be the same as it was. Well, like speaking for myself, like, my routine in my business is not going to be the same as it was now that I'm studying 40 hours a week, right? It's got to shift a little bit, it's got to evolve, but it's still able to be done, and it's still able to, like, all of the needs are able to be met, and it doesn't have to be like sacrificial at all. So I just wanted to like share that with you guys. Like, if you think you can't do it, you fucking can. Trust me, you can. Anyway, let's get into mindset, because this is actually going to really wrap in really nicely with what I've just shared. I feel like mindset is something that a lot of people can struggle with, of course. Mindset being like the limiting beliefs that you tell yourself, or your self-talk, right? Your self-talk, your inner dialogue. A lot of people don't realize how negative this is until they actually are asked to reflect on it. So I wanted to speak into this because when we relate this to our menstrual cycle, when we relate how we speak to ourselves and our true core beliefs to how our menstrual cycle shows up in our body, it's really interesting what can shift here. And so a lot of the work that I do in with the menstrual cycle is a lot of energetic work and a lot around mindset as well, right? So I just wanted to bring this conversation in here. If you can right now, like grab a journal, or if you are like driving or doing your thing, like whatever, just reflect on it in your mind. But when you think of your period or your menstrual cycle, like what actually comes up for you? Do you feel embarrassed? Do you feel like it's a secret kind of thing? Like you've got to keep it under the wraps. You can't share it with anyone. Or maybe you feel empowered by it. That's super cool. Maybe it feels dirty or gross, or you actually just don't want to even think about it because it repulses you. You reject it. Maybe it's your favorite time of your cycle. Maybe it just makes you feel so grounded and so connected to yourself. So there's different ways that we can obviously feel about it. Obviously, when we're feeling more grounded, connected, empowered by our cycle and our bleed time, this is good. This is what we want to lean towards, because this in itself usually means that your cycle is doing quite great physically in your body, or it is like shifting into a more regular state. When you have these other beliefs, like that it's dirty, that you want to hide it, that it's gross, all of those things, go deeper than that, like asking yourself like where that could be coming from, if that's something you want to do. But I just want to bring to your attention that when you have these negative thoughts, it's literally the law of attraction that you're going to be attracting that. So if you are thinking my period is gross and I hate it and it's an inconvenience, why would it then manifest into your physical body to be pain-free, to be regular, to be enjoyful? Enjoyful? I think that's a word. Why would you enjoy it, right? If mentally on your mindset level, you're like, this is gross, I hate it. And that's a limiting belief in itself, right? And that's where you can begin to bring in this new belief system, adopt a new belief system. Now, if loving your period or loving your menstrual cycle actually doesn't feel like tangible for you, and you actually are like, this is too deep, please join Moon Maiden or one of my courses, or message me to join me one-on-one, because we can actually move through this together. It is very deep work. It's not something that a lot of people can just do on their own, right? Like there's a lot of belief systems that have been placed upon us as women through generations, plus just even in this lifetime, right? So don't shame yourself, even if you can't connect enough to even really know what your belief is. That's a part of the process, right? But I do want you to just be in inquiry with yourself, especially maybe moving into your next cycle. When your next bleed comes, recognize your body reactions. Like when you first get your bleed, like do you go, oh, or do you go, oh, I love my bleed, like I'm so happy to have it? How do you show up throughout your bleed? Does it feel like an inconvenience? Does it feel like, for fuck's sake, I'm bleeding, like I can't do XYZ? Or does it feel like, okay, I'm going to take this time to actually honor myself, and then I'm going to do the thing once I'm in my follicular phase? So just beginning to inquire on your mindset, because when we, like I've said a million times already in this episode, when we have a shitty mindset, of course it's going to show up shitty in our life. I've gone through this, like the laws of the universe in a previous episode, like almost a year ago, how we've got like the law of vibration. So whatever frequency you're vibrating at, that's also going to be what's coming back to you. The law of attraction, whatever you're putting out there is coming back to you, right? So there's like, literally, it's written in the stars that like if you are feeling these certain ways, it's going to be manifesting in that way. Another really incredible thing is, you've probably heard of people who have like been sick or something. Actually, no, I'm going to rephrase this. How many of you have been like, I don't want to go to work on Friday, right? You just didn't want to go to your job. You had something on, maybe there was like a festival on, speaking for myself. I've definitely done this in the past. And you're like, I just don't want to go to work, but you don't have the courage to actually call in sick. So you make yourself sick. Like, have you ever done that, where you're like, I don't want to be at this place, and then all of a sudden your throat's getting sore, your nose is getting blocked up, you're getting a bit of a sickness, but it's because mentally you've actually manifested that so you could have a day off. Like, I'm sure many of you have done this. I know I have done it multiple times. I'm like, God, our words are so powerful. I've made myself sick, and now I have to do this thing sick because I just didn't call in or like put my time in or whatever it was. So I'm sure that's been something that a lot of you have journeyed through too, of like just, yeah, making yourself sick. That in itself is your mindset actually making you sick. Like, do you understand that? Like, that is actually how powerful our fucking mind is. So what I'm trying to give here is, if you can make yourself sick, for like a day off work, or maybe you could make yourself sick. I know in the past I've made myself sick from certain foods by telling myself, I'm like, this makes me sick, this food makes me bloated, this food makes me this food makes me that, and then that's actually manifested into my body. Like if we can do that, if we can tell ourselves these stories and believe them so much that they manifest into illness in our body, then why can't we do the same, but by reversing the illness? Or not so much reversing the illness, but you know, not giving it the energy, not giving it the time of day that like it's desiring to continue manifesting. So for example, really heavy bleed, really painful bleed, also rejects bleed, right? Just little mini case study here. So yeah, you basically you reject your period, but it's also really heavy and it also feels really inconvenient and it's painful every time you bleed. Oh, my period's so painful. I fucking hate my period. Fuck, why do I have my period? Oh, I wish I wasn't a girl. Whatever. All those stories come up. You say them out loud. You say them to people. You make it out like it's just a good old joke with your mates. Like, oh, I hate my period, or like whatever it might be. Sorry, I sound so monotone when I said that. Anyway, but you like make it out like it's just a joke. Like you just like play it off cool, right? But like you actually believe that about yourself and you actually genuinely don't like it. You're giving it more energy to like feed on to not feel good in your body. And then when other people are relating with you and you have that sense of belonging because everyone in your proximity is like, I hate my period too. Yeah, it sucks being a woman. Why would you want to have a pain-free period if everyone is validating you for having a painful period, right? That's another thing that I just wanted to bring in there. And this really does just cover like how incredible our mindset is, because when you begin to shift these things, yeah, some people might not agree with you, but it's actually just having that resilience in yourself that you want to change your belief system so you can feel fucking good to your core. And yeah, it changes everything. So basically what I'm going to leave you with today is take some time to genuinely sit with this question that I asked you. How do you feel about your period? How do you feel about your menstrual cycle? Do you feel resistance there? Or do you genuinely fucking love it? Is it like your favorite time? I've been at the start of this journey where I genuinely hated it. I used to skip my bleed on contraception. You can go listen to my episode on contraception if that's something that you feel called to do. But I definitely feel you if you're in that boat of like, how do I even love this? Like, I'm so disconnected. But you actually can get to this space. And it all starts with shifting your mindset and shifting your limiting beliefs. So I'm going to leave you with that. Sit with it, see how it feels for you, even writing down your beliefs, but then what you want to believe. So for example, you may believe my period is dirty, but you may want to believe I feel so empowered by my bleed, right? So just seeing what the contrast or polarity you can have there, and begin to implement that. But like I said, I have plenty of spaces that you can join with me, whether that's one-on-one. I do also now offer just a once-off session for like speaking about your cycle alignment, giving you all of the holistic tips, tools, and wisdom that you may be searching for your own journey. So you can find all that on my website, and that would be super cool to work with you. But also I have Moon Maiden coming up. So Moon Maiden will be beginning, I think, next week when this episode comes out, although you are able to join throughout the time that it's running. So Moon Maiden is about tracking your cycle with the moon, understanding your moon cycle. So this is going to be a really great place to start, because if you don't understand your cycle, the first thing that you want to kind of understand is how to track it correctly so that you know what phase you're in. We're going to be covering that. We're going to be covering how to holistically and naturally balance your hormones through environmental shifts, seed cycling, and just different things like that I'm going to be bringing in from a health lens. And then we're also going to be speaking about the archetypes related to a cycle. You're going to get a printable PDF, a printable ebook, things like that. You're going to have quite a lot of resources there to lean on. And then our final, I'm just making sure that's everything. Yeah. And then our final masterclass is with beautiful Emma. So she has a podcast called Em's Authority. You should go over and check her out. But she's going to be running a masterclass in Moon Maiden. And to join, it's 111 Australian dollars, or you can go on a payment plan of $30 for 4 weeks, I think. So honestly, super cool, super great. Can't wait. So excited. I'll leave all the links below so that you can go and check it out. It will be available for you to join any stage, whether we've run it or it's currently running, but I would love to have you a part of it. But other than that, I hope that this episode about your mindset has really got you thinking about your belief system around your bleed so that you can shift it and feel fucking phenomenal. Goodbye. I'll see you next week.